Okay. Who wants to go?
I can go first.
Okay, sure. Whenever you're ready, Heather.
Okay. All right. Did you know that Americans owe $1.45 trillion in student loan debt? That is $620 billion more dollars than the total U.S. credit card debt in the United States. If you're a student like me, which you are, paying off your student loans can be a very daunting thought, especially if you get closer to graduation. So SponsorChange.org is an organization that can help you pay off your student loans in exchange for volunteer work. So today I was going to go through the 4 steps necessary to sign up to SponsorChange.org once you graduate. So step number 1, you need to sign up. So if you just go to SponsorChange.org, you can create a profile. And they'll ask you for the normal information, but they'll also ask you for interest-based questions so that they can match you to interest-based programs. And they'll also ask you for your student loan information. So step number 1, sign up. And step number 2, you need to search for a project. So if you go to their site, you can search for a project by category, city, or state. And hopefully you can find a project that piques your interest. So step number 1, you need to sign up. Step number 2, you need to search for a project. And then step number 3, you need to apply for your project. And to apply, you just need to let them know about what qualifications you have and the passions you have for the project that you're interested in. And then you need to submit a resume. And then you can submit up to, or you can sign up to 3 different projects at a time, depending on how much time you have or interest you have in the projects that you want to do. So step number 1, sign up. Step number 2, search for a project. And step number 3, you need to apply for a project. And that leads us lastly to step number 4, which is to do your project. So to do your project, you just need to incorporate the skills that you've learned from graduation, and you'll learn new skills, and then you can make new connections with other people and incorporate that all into your projects. And then the SponsorChange.org will give you a check award payment towards your student loans in exchange for your volunteer work. So today I covered the 4 steps to become a member of the SponsorChange.org organization when you graduate. Step number 1, sign up. Step number 2, search for a project. Step number 3, apply for a project. And step number 4, do your project. So let's work on cutting down that $1.45 trillion as Americans by signing up for SponsorChange.org today.
Great job. I had never heard of that. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Last but not least already. Kaylee. All right. Whenever you're ready, Kaylee.
All right. So I want you guys to close your eyes and picture that you're standing in a kitchen and it's nice and warm and it's a very snowy day outside and there's a smell coming from the oven. What kind of smell would you assume that it would be? Personally, I would assume it's my favorite chocolate chip oatmeal cookies that I like to bake. And today I'm going to go over the 3 steps that I always follow to bake chocolate chip oatmeal cookies. The 3 key points are the different ingredients that you'll need to bake the cookies, the directions, kind of procedure of mixing the ingredients together and baking them, and then just some like afterwards like cleanup and things that I do while the cookies are baking in the oven. So first we would start by getting out all the different ingredients. I like to separate them into the wet ingredients that I mix together first and the dry ingredients I mix together. The wet ingredients include 1 cup of butter, 2 eggs, a teaspoon of vanilla, and a cup of white sugar and brown sugar. The dry ingredients include 2 cups of flour, a teaspoon of baking soda, a teaspoon of baking powder, 2.5 cups of oatmeal, a half a teaspoon of salt, and a 12 ounces or 1 bag of chocolate chips. Then I would go on to mix the 2 ingredients together. So you'll mix these ingredients together into 2 different bowls. You'll take the first wet ingredients that I described, the sugars, eggs, butter, and vanilla, and mix those in 1 large bowl. And then you take the flour, salt, baking powder, baking soda, oatmeal, and chocolate chips and mix them into another bowl. Once you have both bowls mixed up individually, you take your bowl that has your dry ingredients in it and slowly pour it into your bowl that has the wet ingredients and mix them together until everything is completely mixed together. Once everything's completely mixed together, you pull the cookie dough out and make 1-inch balls and place them onto a greased cookie sheet about 2 inches apart and put them in the oven for about 9 minutes at 375 degrees. While the cookies are baking, there's just a couple different things that I always like to do and always usually do. I gather all my dirty dishes and put them usually in the sink and work on them while the cookies are baking in between. And I also get out a cooling rack or a large plate if I don't have a cooling rack that I can scoop the cookies off of the cookie sheet onto so that I'm not waiting for the cookies to cool in between going through each rotation. You will take your cookies off the cookie sheet and put them onto a cooling rack or a plate, and then repeat putting 1-inch balls onto the cookie sheet until you've gone through all of your cookie dough, and continuously put them onto the cooling rack or the plate as you're pulling them out of the oven. So today I talked about how to bake chocolate chip oatmeal cookies. I went over 3 key steps that it takes to bake them, including what ingredients you need, how to mix them and bake them together, and just some follow-up activities that I like to go through while I'm waiting for the cookies to bake. So now I challenge you guys to go home and make your own chocolate chip oatmeal cookies.
Okay. I actually made chocolate chip cookies yesterday and my house still kind of smells like it, so I love it.
Yeah.
All right, let me